episode of the Jay's Fit Down podcast. I'm here with my good friend Jack Barton here. He currently is a Georgia Tech football player now, was at Furman, transferred to Georgia Tech. So, Jack, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on. Happy to be here.
Of course. Yeah, man. So, Happy New Year to you also as well. But yeah, so Jack, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, man, before we kind of dive in to the show here?
Yeah, sure. So I've been playing football since I was in about third grade. I went to Centennial High School in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Okay.
I didn't really play much in high school until about junior year, but the offers started rolling in then. Furman showed a lot of interest, and I was very wooed by them. And I was happy to spend my last 4.5 years there. And then, I just decided that it was time to move on. And now I'm at Georgia Tech. I'm happy to be here helping them. Hopefully we can win the championship.
Yeah. Like I said, it's interesting because you're a local Georgia kid, so that's interesting. Do you know Darren Granger, right?
Yeah, Darren was a good friend of mine.
Yeah. He used to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he transferred to Georgia State. That's where I go. So this is where I go to.
Okay.
And so now he's entered the draft. But so that's interesting. You said you went to Furman. I was like, oh, man, that's cool. Because that's where Darren went. And I also had him on the podcast a couple of times. But yeah, man, Georgia Tech, of course, the last couple of seasons hasn't been the best, but I mean they did have their first winning record last year. This past season at 7-6 for the first time in like 5 or so years. Brent Key's done a good job taking over. They were in a battle against Georgia this past year, like they kind of gave them a game. So, talk about what kind of pushed you to transfer over from Furman to Tech.
Well, the class I came in with at Furman, we bonded very well. We were and still are a family. We came back to Furman for our 5th year to win the championship, which we did, and we were happy to do that. And then essentially everyone kind of graduated, met their ends, and it was just time to move on from them and go see what I could do like on my own. And Georgia Tech was waiting for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say Coach Key played a role in that? And what about that did he inspire you to, make that move?
I'd say I was sitting in his office, and he just has this aspiration to just change the culture at Georgia Tech. He's actively working on getting everybody on the team to have a championship mentality, and that's just something that resonated with me because when I went to Furman, we just weren't great. Like we had a good team, but we weren't winning any championships. And like I said, we did our last year. So I'm part of like growing teams and, getting after it and going to win a championship. And Coach Key presented a phenomenal opportunity for me to come in and help do that. And I look forward to everything.
Yeah. He is a great coach. And it's a hard thing, too, to take over a program that, just hasn't had a good history as far as, productive winning seasons, right? Because that's Tech hasn't, they're not known for that. But, he's got those guys like fighting and competing and believing that and what he's preaching there and just that hard working type of environment. And like I said, they gave Georgia a good game this year. Like this is the top team in the country, and they were kind of it was a tight game. Because I was there watching that game, man. I'm like, golly, Georgia Tech is giving Georgia here some competition, and of course Georgia ended up winning, but it's still like the hang in there with arguably the best team in the country. Like that's something, that tells you how competitive you guys are and everything. So
yeah, man, I think we definitely have the pieces together. I think we're in for a good run this year.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting. So, like I said, man, that's going to be a great move for you, and just playing that type of program here and coming back here to the A. So in Atlanta, but
sure.
Man. Other than that, so how would you say NIL, right? Because it's in a big thing since it's been kind of guarded up here in college football. Has changed the game. Do you think it's changed it for the better or the worse? What are your whole opinions on that being a college football player?
Yeah, well, for one, I really am happy that NIL became a thing. I think players deserve opportunities to, profit off their hard work. It has its pros and cons. The pros being players have the opportunity, earn some spending money. But the cons are if programs can't pay to keep players, then they'll just leave without hesitation. And then you'll no longer be able to watch talent develop from freshman year through senior year on the same team. And seeing that's going to become more and more unlikely. But all in, I'd probably say it's for the better,
Yeah, it is. I'm glad they are paying the players now, right? Because
For sure.
before it's like they're giving you everything, their time, their commitment, their dedication. Just the long off season practices, workouts, everything in the season,
Exactly.
and everything after that. It's like, so they should be compensated for that, right?
For sure.
So I'm a firm believer in that. I played football all the way up to senior year of high school. Was going to play in college. I decided not to, but still that game, at that level, it takes the type of commitment it takes. It's, players should be rewarded for that, I think. So the
For
only
sure.
problem I think it can kind of sway how. Would you say it kind of could sway how players think as far as with the programs they decide to go to because of the money offers? It's like, okay, yeah, they're offering you a lot of money, but is this the best opportunity for you? Do you think that plays a role in it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the money definitely comes into play, but if the school is not offering you things that are going to progress you in life past all that money, then I don't know, you should really think about it. I had an old teammate that had a lot of money offered on the table, and football is not it for him anymore, and he walked away from it, and I think he's happier now than he was before. So it's just kind of all based off your situation,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, definitely. Just depending on how things are going with you. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
a lot of things. Some people have problems with it because it's like, well, you're giving these kids all this money, and they're when you look at Shador Sanders, that
Right.
guy's making
A lot.
a lot of money. You know what I mean? And it's insane. So it's crazy. But that's just where the game is right now. A lot of
Yep.
coaches aren't happy about it. They don't because it kind of messes up their program. It's like I built this program up, but then it's like this coach comes over here, offers my kid however so much money, and he leaves, right? And it's like you lose star players. So I think coaches can be affected in that way too, though.
Oh, absolutely. For sure.
Yeah. Nick Saban definitely has voiced his opinion about that multiple times.
That's probably why he's out now.
Yeah. So speaking of that, man, what do you think about that, man? 17 years at Bama, and now he's out. What's up next for Bama?
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's just been talking to a bunch of guys. It's all we've ever known, Belichick with the Patriots,
Yeah.
Saban at Bama. It's weird. It's the end of an era, and it'll take some getting used to. But I'm sure a lot of people will be happy not to see Bama up there every year now.
Well, yeah, I would. Listen, I'm an Alabama fan, so this is hurting me a lot.
Sorry to hear that, man.
With Nick leaving, but no, but it's. The way he's built the program up, and not only just on the field but off the field, and just being able to build these guys up as young men is so important. That he's that type of coach. A lot of coaches like that, like him, Deion Sanders, these types of guys, they want to they're not caring just about the production on the field, but how do we develop these young men to go about in life? So that's important. So what would you say, from a player standpoint, if you're one of those players on that Alabama team, what's going through your mind? You just see this news, you're like, okay, Nick Saban just left. What am I going to do?
Well, first off, given that most teams these days, man, players form a pretty strong bond because with all these coaching changes, all you really have is your teammates to lean on. I'd say I would probably wait to see who they're replacing it with. I'd sit down, have a conversation with the new coach, and if he has if he has the same interests as me and the same goals as me, then that's not something to take lightly. And I'd probably stick around. But if he's thinking something else, then, probably at the portal.
Yeah, the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Which has been a huge thing, through college football now. And it's almost seemed like it makes it like free agency. In the NFL.
Yeah, no kidding.
Like, it's crazy. What were you saying?
I just said you're right. It literally is free agency.
Yeah. I mean, guys can just get up and go where they want to go, and it kills these programs. They lose these players, but I mean, it's just the name of the game now. So,
yeah, my main concern about the transfer portal is guys that just aren't quite developed, not getting enough playing time, just jump into that conclusion. Because just because you're at one school doesn't mean you're going to go to the other one and all of a sudden be developed and ready to play football. And then so you just get stuck in this loop of it's not working for me, I'm going to transfer out. I really think people need to commit to stuff for like at least 2 years before you even consider getting in the portal,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I stuck it out at Furman. We had fun 4.5 years. I couldn't imagine transferring out of there 2 years in just because I wasn't playing. I didn't play till junior year. So if I had left my sophomore year, I would have missed out on all of it, and then I would have gone to a new team and do the whole thing. So
yeah, it's the commit. It's like that. What is your commitment? It's like or
right.
Their own right because if you're transferring because like you said 2 years in, well I'm not really getting playing time, so I just might as well leave, go to this school. Then what happens if you go to that school and you're not playing either? It's like okay. Maybe the pattern here isn't the school. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's something that I need to look at within. So
exactly.
I mean, and that's if the case if you're doing this multiple times. Like if it's like there's obviously different circumstances.
For sure, no doubt.
But if you're doing this on more than one occasion, then that's a problem. So. But hey, man, that's just the name of the game now. Like I said, it's just how it is, and that's the life. It's 2024, man. I think college football is it's going to be completely different from what we've known it.
For sure, no doubt.
So, which kind of leads me into my next question, which is, so obviously this past season's college football playoff, a lot of opinions on that. FSU, I want to know what you thought about it and how the 12-team format can make it better. Everything.
Yeah, so obviously I'm coming from the FCS. We have a 24-team playoff. To be honest with you, I couldn't imagine not having a real playoff in football. I'm fortunate enough to where I'm now in the FBS. They're actually doing a playoff. I think rankings put way too much power in the media's hands, and I'm just glad we're kind of moving away from that. I think the 12-team playoffs is going to give 12 teams equal opportunity to go win a championship. I mean, like you saw FSU, they had an opportunity, but I know it didn't seem like they performed well in the bowl game, but I mean, they had a bunch of dudes transfer out because of it. So I just look forward to seeing 12 teams get after each other and the winner takes all. Honestly, I think that's how sports should be played, and I'm surprised it took this long for them to get that situated.
Yeah.
Really?
It is, man. I agree. It's revenue generated now, or that's at least how it's been, right? With the playoff, it's like which teams are going to get us the most clicks, get us the most money, get us the most views, this and that, the more commercials, media sponsorships, all these types of things. And that's why, even being a Bama fan, I will admit that, hey, you know what? Alabama has had pull for a long time, within this, and because of its how they are, how their culture, their winning, their face of the program with Nick Saban. Now he's gone. Does that change that? Interesting question. I think so. But
yeah, I'd say it probably changes it. I don't know. It's Alabama deserved to be in the top 4 all those years, but I just think having teams like Georgia Tech, for instance, or Syracuse being able to go get after UGA in the semifinals to go on to the Natty, I just think you're going to get a different heart out of these teams that you've never seen before. And yeah, it'll get well-deserved views for sure.
Yeah. It's interesting, though. Like, it expanded. You get teams like, like you said, teams like Tech, Syracuse, whoever it might be. Just getting other opportunities to other teams, other schools to, get to experience that, get to make it to the playoff game, to go out to the Rose Bowl, wherever, have the fans in the school. It's a different type of experience, and it'll be interesting to see other contenders, other teams, that aren't your normal, your Bamas, your Georgias, your Ohio States, your Michigans, whatever it might be. It's like, expanding that, making it bigger. It'll be interesting. You know what I mean? So, yeah,
For sure.
yeah, I would like to see that. So it should be pretty fun this year.
I think it will be.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. Yeah, man, like I said, that pretty much will wrap us up today, Jack. Thank you for your time and conversating with us here on the Jays with Down podcast. Best of luck to you at Georgia Tech and you guys there, Coach
Thank you.
Key. You're gonna have a blast playing for him, and like I said, best of luck to you guys this year.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It was a blast.
Of course, man. And hey, we'll have you back on soon too. So, all right. Check
All right,
and
man.
see how the season's going. So, yeah. But thank you, Jack. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. See ya.